should have trusted my gut. When Leo spotted that third bunker, the one not on our map, with fresh footprints leading to the door, what we found inside nearly got us killed. The Pine Barrens had already been messing with our heads for hours. Over 1 million acres of twisted trees, black water, and sandy trails that seem to lead nowhere. People vanish out here, have for centuries. But I thought we were different. I thought we were prepared. We weren't. This forest has always been a place of secrets. During the Revolutionary War, it concealed loyalist gangs called the Pine Robbers, who used the disorienting landscape to launch raids and then vanish without a trace. Decades later, the woods were scarred for a different kind of war. Massive munitions plants and company towns rose from the pines, only to be dismantled and abandoned, leaving behind hulking concrete structures that locals still call the bunkers. These remnants are scattered throughout the woods, silent monuments to forgotten purposes that draw in the curious. But there's a saying in the pines: the forest remembers. And the same things that made it a perfect hideout in the 1700s can make it dangerous today. For my friend Leo and me, in the late 1990s, a weekend adventure was about to become a desperate fight for survival. We were about to find out that some places are abandoned for a very good reason. My friend Leo and I were urban explorers before that was even really a term. Back in the late 90s, an era of dial-up internet and whispered local legends, we didn't have GPS on our phones. We had paper maps, a compass, and a thirst for the forgotten corners of our state. Leo was our historian, the one who'd spend hours in the library, cross-referencing old county maps with rumored ruins. I was the photographer, armed with a 35mm camera, determined to capture the haunting beauty of decay. And our obsession? The New Jersey Pine Barrens. The place was a gold mine. You could drive for an hour down a sand road seeing nothing but pine trees, then suddenly stumble upon the skeletal remains of a 19th century village. We'd already explored the ghost town of Batstow and photographed the ruins of old iron furnaces, but the real prize we were after was the bunkers. The stories were everywhere. Most were linked to the old munition sites like Amatol, with thick-walled concrete buildings made to withstand an accidental blast. But other rumors hinted at smaller, more isolated structures. Leo found a hand-drawn map on some primitive online message board for explorers. I squinted at it. "This map looks like a kindergartner's treasure hunt," I joked. It was crude, but it promised a cluster of these smaller, harder-to-find bunkers deep in a state forest, miles from any marked trail. One crisp Saturday in October, we went for it. We parked our beat-up sedan on the shoulder of a desolate sand road, packed our bags with water, flashlights, and my camera, and headed into the woods. The air was cool and smelled of pine and damp earth. For the first hour, it was a thrill. The only sounds were the crunch of our boots on fallen leaves and the distant caw of a crow. We followed the map's crude landmarks, a weirdly shaped tree, a dried-up creek bed, pushing deeper into the wilderness. Annoyed, "Congrats, Leo," I muttered after a while. "We're officially lost in Jersey Devil land." We found the first 2 bunkers right where the map said they'd be. They were little more than concrete boxes, half swallowed by the earth, caked in moss and graffiti. Inside, they were damp and empty, smelling of stale air and mildew. I snapped a few photos, the flash echoing strangely in the tight space, but we were disappointed. "Note to self," Leo said, kicking at a loose stone. "Next time, we're bringing a GPS, or at least a better compass." It was Leo who spotted the third one. It wasn't on the map. As we were heading back, he saw it through the trees, a low, dark shape that just didn't belong. The entrance was clearer, less overgrown. A faint path, almost invisible but definitely there, led right to it. A prickle of unease ran up my neck, I pointed it out to Leo. The grass around the entrance. It looked trampled. "Someone's been here," I whispered. Leo, ever the adventurer, was already moving. "Probably just other explorers. Come on." As we got closer, the signs were undeniable. The bunker's steel door was slightly ajar, not rusted shut like the others. There weren't any fresh footprints in the sand, but the ground felt disturbed. Against my better judgment, I followed Leo to the entrance. A wave of cold, musty air washed over us. Leo pushed the heavy door open. It moved with a low groan, a sound that was way too loud in the quiet woods. He clicked on his maglite, sweeping the beam inside. The space was small, maybe 10 by 15 feet, and it wasn't empty. In the far corner sat a dirty sleeping bag, a small stack of canned food, and a battery-powered lantern. A half-eaten bag of chips lay on the floor. This wasn't an explorer's camp. This was a hideout. Somebody was living here. "We need to go," I hissed, yanking on Leo's jacket. "Right now." But Leo was frozen, his flashlight beam locked on something else. Next to the sleeping bag was a weathered leather satchel. It was open, and peeking out from inside was the unmistakable wooden handle of a tool. Long, dark, and curved. A machete. Then a sound from outside shattered the silence. The clean snap of a heavy branch breaking under someone's foot. We both went rigid. We weren't alone. In an instant, we clicked off our flashlights, plunging the bunker into darkness, save for the sliver of daylight from the open door. We held our breath and listened. A rhythmic rustling in the leaves grew closer. Someone was walking slowly, deliberately, right for the bunker. Our hearts hammered in our chests. We were miles from the car, deep in a forest that was notoriously easy to get lost in, and the owner of this bunker and that machete was coming home. The footsteps stopped directly outside the entrance. For a terrifying, endless second, there was only silence. Then, the door began to scrape open. Pure panic took over. There was no time to think, only react. As the door scraped wider, revealing the silhouette of a large man stooping to enter, Leo did the only thing he could. He let out a raw scream and charged, slamming his shoulder into the man's chest. The man grunted, knocked off balance, stumbling backward. That was all the time we needed. I was right behind Leo, scrambling out of the bunker and into the blinding afternoon sun. We didn't look back, we just ran. We crashed through the underbrush, branches whipping our faces and tearing at our clothes. Behind us, an enraged roar echoed through the trees. The chase was on. The Pine Barrens is not an easy place to run. The ground is a treacherous mix of soft sand that sucks at your feet and tangled roots that grab at your ankles. We could hear him back there, crashing through the woods with terrifying speed. He was shouting, but the words weren't coherent, just guttural sounds of pure rage. I risked a glance over my shoulder, and my blood ran cold. The man was closer than I thought, maybe 50 yards back. He was burly, dressed in camo pants and a dark-stained sweatshirt. And gripped in his right hand was the machete, its long blade glinting in the dappled sunlight. "He's got it! He's got the machete!" I screamed, a fresh surge of adrenaline pushing me faster. We ran without direction, fueled by nothing but fear. We splashed through shallow streams and scrambled over fallen logs, but the sounds of our pursuer were relentless. At one point, Leo's foot caught a hidden root, and he went down hard. I skidded to a stop, hauling him back to his feet. The man was closing in. We could hear his ragged breathing now. Bursting through a thicket of pines, we found ourselves on the edge of a wide, waterlogged clearing, a cranberry bog. There was no way around it. "Through it!" Leo gasped, and we plunged in. The water was icy cold, soaking our jeans and pulling them down. We stumbled through the bog, murky water up to our waists, legs tangling in unseen vines. It slowed us down, but it slowed him down too. When we finally clawed our way onto the opposite bank, soaked and shivering, we'd gained some ground, but he was still coming. We ran until our lungs burned and our legs were numb. The sun started to dip below the horizon, casting long, menacing shadows through the trees. Just when we thought we couldn't take another step, Leo saw it, a break in the trees, and the flat, even line of a sandfire road. Hopeful surged through us. We burst from the woods and onto the road, our feet pounding the packed sand. We didn't stop. We just ran down the center of that road, putting as much distance as we could between ourselves and the dark woods. After another quarter mile, we saw it, the blessed glow of electric lights. It was a ranger station, its windows warm and yellow in the twilight. We half ran, half stumbled the rest of the way, and collapsed through the door, babbling our story to the stunned park ranger on duty. The aftermath is, in some ways, as unsettling as the incident itself. The police were called, and we led them back to the fire road. The next day, a search party combed the area. They found the bunker, but it was completely empty. The sleeping bag, the food, the lantern, all of it was gone. The only thing they found was a faint impression in the dirt where the satchel had been. There was no sign of the man, no machete, and no proof he ever existed at all, other than two terrified teenagers with torn clothes and a story that would haunt us forever. This tale has been passed around South Jersey for years, a piece of local folklore that serves as a chilling warning. Public records show no official police report that matches these exact details. Like the stories of the pine robbers and their hidden lairs from centuries ago, it exists in that gray space between rumor and reality. The Pine Barrens have always been a place of secrets, a place that swallows things, old towns, forgotten histories, and sometimes people. We never went back to the pines. We learned our lesson. Some places are left alone for a reason, and sometimes you don't want to find what's hiding in the dark.